Before Olympus crowned its king, the world was chaos. Titans ruled the earth, and Zeus was still a whisper of rebellion. When he rose against his father, Cronus, it was not thunder that won him the war. It was cunning, and that cunning came from one goddess, Metis. Metis was a titaness, older than Olympus itself. She was wisdom incarnate, strategy, thought, the voice behind every clever decision Zeus ever made. It was she who helped him craft the potion that forced Cronus to vomit out his siblings. It was she who showed Zeus how to hide his strength until the right moment. Without Metis, there would be no Olympian order. When victory came, Zeus took her as his first wife. He was young, radiant, and victorious. Metis was brilliant, graceful, and dangerous in her knowledge. Together, they were supposed to rule forever, wisdom guiding power, thought balancing might. But peace rarely lasts in divine stories. Not long after their union, a whisper began to spread through the halls of Olympus, a prophecy from the fates, older than the gods themselves. It said, "The child of Metis shall be wiser than her father, and will overthrow him." Zeus laughed at first. He was the king of gods. Who could challenge him? But the laughter faded each time he remembered his father, Cronus, and his grandfather, Uranus. Both had heard the same words. Both had fallen to their sons. The cycle was endless. Father devours son. Son devours father. And now, it was Zeus's turn to tremble. He tried to silence the prophecy. He sought the fates, demanded a new destiny. But they only smiled, their thread-spinning fingers unmoved. Even kings of gods, they said, are still bound by the loom of time. Fear began to eat him from within, not the fear of death, but of replacement. Zeus loved Metis, but he feared what she carried. The very goddess who gave him his crown now carried the seed of his downfall. And so began the cruelest act ever born from love. One evening, as the stars watched quietly, Zeus invited Metis to walk with him along the shores of Oceanus. The air was calm, the sea endless. He spoke of their victories, their shared glory, and how he would one day gift her the throne beside him. Metis smiled, unaware of what was coming. Then Zeus proposed a game, a contest of transformations, as gods often did to show their might. Metis, confident in her skill, agreed. She became a hawk, soaring into the night sky. Zeus followed as a storm, chasing her through thunderclouds. She became a fish, darting through the waves. Zeus became a whale, swallowing the tide around her. Finally, she turned into the smallest thing imaginable, a speck of dust, glimmering in the moonlight. And in that instant, Zeus opened his mouth and swallowed her whole. Silence fell. Even the wind stopped. The goddess of wisdom, gone, devoured by the king of gods. The world didn't shatter that night, but something inside Zeus did. At first, he felt relief. The prophecy was over, he thought. He had outsmarted destiny. But wisdom cannot be killed. It only changes form. Inside Zeus, Metis lived on. She spoke in echoes through his thoughts, guiding his decisions, whispering in moments of doubt. And with her presence came something else. A restlessness, a weight inside his skull, a pulse of power that grew stronger every day. The gods around him began to notice. Zeus became sharper, colder, unpredictable. At councils, his eyes would glaze over, as if listening to someone only he could hear. When he spoke, his words carried Metis's brilliance and her warnings. But at night, he screamed. The pain started as a dull throb. Within months, it became a storm of agony. No thunder could match the roar of Zeus's suffering. He struck his head against the marble pillars of Olympus, desperate to silence the pounding voice inside. "Father, what's wrong?" asked Apollo, Is this the price of power? Murmured Hera, but Zeus gave no answer, only cries that shook the mountains. Finally, desperate and half-mad, Zeus summoned Hephaestus, the divine blacksmith. "Strike my head," he commanded. "Release me from this torment." The smith hesitated. To wound Zeus was to challenge heaven itself, but the king's eyes burned with desperation. So Hephaestus raised his hammer and struck. The world split with the sound. From the wound burst a blaze of light, and out stepped a woman fully grown, armored in gold, eyes like molten thought. She raised a spear and screamed her first breath, a war cry that echoed across creation. It was Athena, born from fear, born from guilt, born from the mind of her father and the soul of her mother. The gods watched in awe. None had seen such a birth. Zeus fell to his knees, clutching his skull, half in pain, half in relief. Metis's voice was gone, but her legacy stood before him. Athena looked upon Zeus, neither in hatred nor in gratitude. She simply was. The balance between wisdom and war, intelligence and power. Her presence silenced Olympus. Even Ars, god of war, lowered his gaze. Zeus declared her his daughter and gave her a throne beside his own. But deep within, he knew the prophecy had not been broken. It had been transformed. The child of Metis was wiser than him. Yet instead of overthrowing Zeus, she became his protector, his conscience, his mirror. That was the true genius of destiny. It never lies, but it bends. Centuries passed, and mortals told the tale differently. Some said Metis was gone forever, consumed by Zeus. Others whispered that she still lived inside him, guiding every storm, every judgment, every moment of mercy he rarely showed. But what of Metis herself? Inside the mind of Zeus, she found herself in an endless void, neither alive nor dead. She saw through his eyes, felt his fear, his triumph, his weakness. She became his inner voice, the quiet balance between rage and reason. It was not life, it was a prison. But in that prison, she fulfilled her purpose. Wisdom guarding power from self-destructs. Metis had not been erased. She had become eternal. And when Athena emerged, she smiled through her daughter's eyes. Athena's birth changed Olympus forever. She became the goddess of reason, justice, and strategy. Everything Metis once was. But unlike her mother, Athena did not hide her wisdom. She wielded it. In wars, she brought logic to chaos. In peace, she advised both gods and mortals. She taught heroes how to think before they fought. Perseus, Odysseus, even Heracles. She became what Zeus could never be, a ruler through intellect, not fear. Zeus learned to respect her. Sometimes he even listened, but the sight of her always reminded him of the one he could never forget, Metis, the wife he betrayed to save himself. The thunder god who tried to silence wisdom now depended on it to keep his world from falling apart. In the end, the story of Metis and Zeus isn't about love or vengeance. It's about the oldest truth in every myth, that power without wisdom is doomed to devour itself. Cronus swallowed his children. Zeus swallowed his wife. Both sought control over prophecy. Both created the very future they feared. And Athena's birth was destiny laughing in their faces. Because you can swallow wisdom, bury it, hide it, but sooner or later, it will break through and speak again. Today, when thunder rolls across the sky, the mortals below hear it as rage. But perhaps it's memory, the echo of Zeus remembering the moment he tried to devour his fate and failed. Perhaps every storm is the voice of Metis, still whispering inside his mind. And when lightning strikes, splitting the heavens in two, that's not anger. That's the sound of wisdom escaping, again and again. Because no matter how high a god builds his throne, He can never silence the one truth that defines creation itself. That wisdom is stronger than power, and sometimes, the quietest voice is the one the universe was built to obey.